everybody. This week we watched Rent. Actually, an amazing and very complex musical that I absolutely loved. I was so waiting to watch a musical, and it finally happened, and I was so excited to watch it. Some things that I found interesting about the musical was it was very interesting and very meaningful. Also, how there was a very like risque scene about like sex and intimacy right before the death of Angel. I thought that was very interesting. A huge, meaningful, insightful choice from the playwright that they decided to put this very like steamy scene about sex right before the scene where Angel died. I thought that was very contrasting. And I just thought it was very interesting. I also thought it was very interesting that Mark Cohen played a major like character in the play, but then also played the role of kind of like the introducer and almost like a narrator at times, like introducing people, telling them a little bit about their backstory. I thought it was a great way to kind of move scenes along in the way of this like episodic structure, because it happened over a really long period of time and there was a lot of changes and scene changes. And I thought it was a great way to kind of introduce people in a nice way. And I also thought it was very meaningful that each couple and within each relationship, there was kind of a reoccurring song or phrase. You could see it with Angel and her boyfriend, and then you could see it with Roger and Mimi. You could see it with I think it was Mark's ex-girlfriend and her current girlfriend. There were just a lot of reoccurring songs and maybe rephrases of songs, reprises of songs, actually, that's what it's called. And I thought it was very meaningful that they kept reoccurring. Also, so for the values, I thought ownership was a big value, something that really, like, I guess, characters struggled with throughout the entire character development of the musical. It was very interesting to see people take ownership in their disease, in their problems, in the things that they struggled with, and eventually found each other through that ownership. So, especially with Roger and Mimi, I liked how they were like, they said like the I should tell you, and eventually told one another and kind of owned up to their disease and shared that suffering, and ultimately it made them closer. And then also I think friendship was a huge value within this musical. All these people found each other, and again, through AIDS, through their discovery of their sexuality, through just everything, all the struggles they had going on, through the death of Angel, they came, it bonded them together. I don't want to say kind of made them closer, because there was a moment where they weren't close. I mean, everyone was moving away. They were trying to separate, but in the end, I feel like that these struggles bonded them together, and this friendship was chosen. And they even highlighted how after Angel died, she would have wanted them to continue being friends. She would have wanted them to get closer and remember her in this way, in this friendship. And I think it was just a beautiful tale of their friendship and their relationships. So something I really picked out in the musical, or in the music, was, I think during Mimi's solo, she said something about an AZT break. I think it's AZT. But that popped in my head because I was like, oh, that's a medication. And with me going through nursing school, we've had like intro to pharmacology lectures and classes. And I realized that I was like, oh, I think it's like an antiviral medication, which makes complete sense. So I just looked it up again, and it actually is an antiretroviral that helps prevent the progression of AIDS with other drugs. So it's just one of the HIV/AIDS drugs that can kind of help the progression. It can't heal. AIDS and HIV can never be treated. Although this can kind of help the spread and allow people to live longer lives and healthier lives. the politics within this play, I really latched onto the politics behind HIV and AIDS. I was in actually a play here in Indiana, and it was called Ryan White. Ryan White was the first, or one of the first, he might have actually been the first, to actually contract HIV and AIDS. And it was actually through a blood transfusion. So it wasn't through, he wasn't gay. He was actually straight. But he didn't get it through the sexual contact, but he actually got it through a blood transfusion. He needed like a massive blood transfusion, and he got it and then tested positive for AIDS. So I think a lot of people think that AIDS is just a very debilitating disease, and nobody can ever be healthy. And once you're infected, you become the disease. And that's a lot what I saw behind the scenes of Ryan White, and how he was treated during the time, and how he was treated like an infection, and everyone wanted to stay away. Everyone didn't want to touch him. People treated him as an outcast. And that's because, I mean, they didn't know very much about the disease. But now we know that it is a terminal illness. Like you will eventually die because of it, because it weakens your immune system so much. But it is not, these people are not their disease. And I think I latched onto that a lot, where people can have, who are infected with HIV, they can go through wonderful treatments that help prolong their life and help minimize the amount of virus in the blood. The amazing treatments we have out now today can even allow people with HIV and AIDS to have healthy sex lives where they don't spread the disease. Isn't that amazing? I think that's amazing, where this disease that is actually spread by sexual contact can also be completely not healed with the treatment, but pushed down, and you don't have to always think about your disease. You can live a healthy and wonderful life with HIV and AIDS, and I think that's something that needs to be broadcasted a lot more. I've been seeing a lot of things on TV and ads on my computer about how you can live a great life with HIV and AIDS, and it's so true. It's so true. Again, these people who are infected, these victims who are infected, are not their disease. They can live above it. They can live with it, and find support in one another. And that's what we see within this play. They find support with one another to help cope with their disease state. And also, I thought it was very prominent in this musical. I keep saying play because we usually talk about plays, but this musical that usually there's the more prominent population with HIV and AIDS is gay men, just because of the way that it's transmitted. Although there were men and women who had the disease in this musical, and I think that was very interesting and very prominent too. Is that it's not just gay men; women can get it too. It's everyone. There's a very diverse population that can get and contract HIV and AIDS. And also with HIV and AIDS, I thought it was very interesting how the play really didn't, while HIV and AIDS was in the story, the playwright decided to, or the director decided to focus more on the relationships between people than make the HIV and AIDS the topic of discussion all the time. While it was still there, it was still in the background. It was this musical really focused on character development and how and the relationships between people and what they said with each other, and a lot of like again like I said, the character development, and how HIV and AIDS wasn't really the focus of this. It really wasn't, and I think that's very important that this was written in that way. And also for this song, I picked Light My Candle, which I loved that song. I really did. I really thought it was an amazing song. You could kind of feel the sexual tension between the two characters of Roger and Mimi. And you could kind of see the development where Mimi is really digging into Roger and making him come out of his shell, because before that he was very alone. His girlfriend died. I mean, he wasn't ready to love again. He didn't want to love again. He was very closed off, And in this music, or in this song, you really see Mimi kind of reach in and like break down his walls. She really like went at him, was talking about her butt and how she has the best ass. And she really tries to get at him, and it works. I mean, he starts to say like, he starts to flirt with her, starts to get close to her, and even cares enough to call her out on her meth addiction. I mean, she said she lost her stash, and he said something along the lines of, I used to be there, like let me help you. And he even tried to hide the stash from her. So in this song you kind of see like Roger begin to fall and begin to care for another person again, and same with Mimi. She begins to fall for him as well, and it was really the spark of their entire relationship. And two questions that I really want to ask you is, one, there was a lot of things that happened in this musical. What really stood out to you? What was the thing that meant the most to you? What did you really connect with? And then two, how did you first learn about HIV and AIDS? Is it now? Did you know in your health class? Like, how did you first discover that HIV and AIDS existed? Thank you.